This right here is my new to me GSXR-750, but as you can see, it's been crashed. Now, the GSX-R750 is known for being the younger brother to the GSX-R1000 and older brother to the GSX-R600. Some say it's better than the 1000 because it's not as insanely powerful on the road, and it's definitely better than the 600 with way more torque in the mid-range. No other brand makes an inline-4 750, so I wanted to try it for myself, but I had a bit of a journey to getting this one. On my hunt for the next big project, I almost bought a stolen car. Now I'm staring at this absolute legend, but there's one big problem. Even though we're in this to make money, I spent way too much on this motorcycle. We need this thing to have as little repairs as possible because we are looking at razor thin profits, if they're even there. So we're gonna go through everything, tally up everything that this bike needs, and try and find out if we're gonna make money or if I got too attached and made a mistake. All right, we are in the Ford Fiesta because we're going to go look at an Audi Q7 V8. Now, after selling the Range Rover Sport, I didn't really want to get another SUV, but this one came up $5,000. It doesn't turn on, so what we're going to do, we're going to take the Autel with us, the scan tool, and we're going to take a jump pack and just investigate. Let's go. So this is a 2007 Audi Q7 with the famous 4.2 litre naturally aspirated V8. It is an older car, but just because of that engine, I wanted to see it. And at first, it actually looked pretty good. The interior smells a bit funny, but I reckon we could have dealt with that. Overall, it was actually pretty good for a car this age. It was also bagged out, meaning the air suspension had sank. The problem started when we got to the engine bay. Now, they had this car listed as not starting, so obviously I thought it might be a starter motor or something else, but we had the Autel to try and diagnose it. But as you can see, there was just so much oil in the engine bay, and this wiring was definitely not done right. So it was time to pull out the Autel and see if any fault codes come up. While the Autel's doing that, if you want to see us reach a supercar doing the rebuilding and flipping until we get there, hit the subscribe button. And yeah, not great. And that's when I realized this. No VIN sticker under the windshield, but a VIN sticker in the door jamb. And in the boot, somebody's riveted in an aftermarket VIN tag on a legit car like this one. It shouldn't be there. That was very, very likely a stolen car. There was no VIN number on the windscreen. There was new VIN plates that weren't in the factory spot in the boot. Look, they seem like nice people, and to be honest with you, I think that they didn't know about it. I don't know. I can't piece it together, but look, it was also leaking oil and other things, so yeah, definitely not a car for me, and that means we still need to find one. Luckily, today is Monday, so by the time I get home, there should be new auction listings for salvage cars, which is what I'll be checking. And then, when I got home, I found this, the Gixxer that I ended up buying. At the time, the bid was only $3,100 plus fees, but I can tell you, that's far from what I paid. I managed to win the auction, and then it got delivered. Now, the video is probably not going to do it justice, but this color, especially in the wet, looked phenomenal. But with any new crash damaged vehicle, there's always problems you didn't see before. We've got to dig into it. I actually took this seat off and just popped the battery out. I'm hoping this bike is all good because we still don't know how many Ks are on this thing. Now, just to give you a bit of context about what sort of Ks I really want from this thing, I want something like, honestly, a godsend would be 5,000 Ks and under for a 2018 bike. I don't know how realistic that is, but having a look at it, like, this tank looks in really good nick. There are some scratches in the normal wear and tear when you're actually leaning on the tank, but overall, it looks very well maintained, so I'm hoping we're on a winner. Now, what I think is some good news is last night, okay, this was green just before. I knew I should have taken a photo of it. Now the charging light, yeah, now the charging light's red, but it was green before. I don't have a multimeter, so I don't know the voltage, but we're gonna chuck it back in and just hope that the thing turns on. Actually, just quickly, you can see, there we go, we've got a green light there. So theoretically, it should be good. And this is the point where I tell you, I've got no idea if this thing turns on. I bought this, it doesn't even say how many Ks in the listing this bike has, which is usually a sign that either, hopefully, the battery's dead or the bike doesn't turn on. And I've just seen a Facebook Marketplace listing for a GSX-R750 that was bought from the auctions, but it had a hole in the block. And I've paid a lot for this. We are really hoping that this battery's dead and nothing else is wrong with the motor. Okay, the moment of truth. A great day is under 5,000 Ks. A good day is under 15, a bad day is 20 or over. Oh no. I can hear the fan on and it's got a check engine light on. Strange, maybe a little concerning. Not entirely sure yet. We don't know. Next thing I guess we check, it's got oil, coolant, and I guess try and turn it on. Maybe it's got a blind fuse. Do bikes have fuses? I have had a motorbike before. In fact, I've had another Suzuki. I had a Hayabusa GSXR-750, but I've never worked on them, so I don't really know how this all works. Let's check. The way you check the oil on these things, you've got a little glass window just on the bottom of the engine here. So bike's obviously leaning, we need to stand it up a little bit, and then if that glass is about halfway full of oil, we got it. Now I'm a bit tense here because I'm thinking, I still don't know how many Ks are on this thing, and I've never experienced the check engine light on a motorbike. I don't really know how that differs from a car. Thankfully there is oil in this, and before tallying up all of the parts that I think I'm going to need to buy, I want to try and rule out any major catastrophes with this bike, because if we have one, we're going backwards in profit. The next thing is coolant. Now I think there is a reservoir tucked behind one of these fairings. It's a little bit hard to see, but there is a line just here where you can see that the coolant tank is filled up. I then found the fuses and just thought, look, that check engine light might have something to do with it. So I just went through every fuse, but couldn't find anything wrong. Then there was two big 30 amp fuses under here, but again, they were both intact and completely fine. At this point, I'm really not sure what that check engine light is, and I don't have a scan tool that's going to scan a motorbike. So at this point, I think we should just try and start it. We've got oil, we've got coolant, which means hopefully the motor isn't screwed. I think these things have like tilt sensors as well, so if the bike does go down, I think engine turns off if it senses it's on an angle. So maybe, hopefully, something to do with that, but I guess, look, oil, coolant, check. Let's try and start it, maybe. Fuel pump does prime. Ks. 17,307. It's under 20,000, and that was the main thing for me. And now's the big moment. Will we maybe make some money? Or have I bought a complete lemon? The thing runs. How good's that? Oh my God. All right, even with the bike on, that FI thing was still on the dash. And it is still on there. Okay, let's see. These buttons still do nothing. The throttle also did get a little bit stuck. All right, we're gonna take this as a win. I'm actually really happy with that. So from here, what are we gonna do? We're gonna try and, so I've actually bought this bike for way too much. Like the profit margin here is gonna be very slim. Even though it's under 20,000, yeah, it's gonna be slim, and a full fairing kit for this thing is like $1,000. So look, I think for now, all I can really do is reach out to some companies, tell them what we're doing, and see if anyone will jump on, maybe as a sponsor, to get this thing back on the road. But for the time being, we have to take a look at everything we're gonna need to order for the bike. The big money. The best thing is this tank actually doesn't seem to have any scratches or damage to it. It's just here, which is actually like 3M taped onto the tank, which is, we can deal with that. We can replace these. The tank would be expensive. Not that it would have been any good, but I also realized we are missing another piece of the fender that actually covers along this bottom side. This engine cover just here is scraped down, like it's not leaking or anything. We are missing the left indicator. Maybe we can get some AliExpress. Brake light, although it is a little bit messy, is completely untouched. This bar is, I'm like 90% sure it's a bit bent. We're also gonna need a new clutch lever and bar end. A couple of other things I realized afterwards, there's no rear foot pegs or rear seat. And we're also missing the left foot peg and this bit of trim on the left side, which isn't part of the fairings. Now, because the salvage vehicles sit outside at the auction lot, this chain looks a little bit rusty. We're gonna try and clean it up. I'm hoping the chain, along with the surface rust on the brake disc, clean up after a bit of a ride. I'm buzzing. This is actually cool. Like, this is something, the Range Rover, I wasn't all that keen to actually rip into and have it done, but this, Like, I'm gonna register this and ride this for a little bit at least. And who knows, like maybe we can do a couple of these if this one does well, even though we're definitely not gonna make much profit on this. Anyway, let's go ahead and clean up that chain. If you're new to bikes, we've got some chain cleaner, some chain lube, and a brush to use with the chain cleaner. This is a lot easier with a bike stand, but essentially we're gonna spray some cleaner on there, rub it down with a brush, and move the bike forward until the whole thing's clean. Roll it back, dry it, make sure there's no more chain cleaner on there, and then push it back forward, spraying on some fresh chain lube. It's easy as that. I then wanted to check the gearbox, so I just rolled it forward in first gear. A-okay. Also, after a bit of quick research, I think I might have found out how to diagnose this check engine light. I want to know what that fault code on the dash is. So this is the OBD connector, and if we take the cap off just there, apparently if we bridge these two end connectors there, it'll put the bike into dealer mode. Instead of showing that FI code up the top there, it should actually show the fault code. So we're gonna figure this out. If I didn't do this tonight, it would really shit me up the wall. So I've got a pin here that we're gonna bend into a U shape, bridge the connectors, turn the ignition on, see what happens. Just like that. Let's try that. So you can see we've got that pin jammed in there, bridging the two wires. Now, hopefully when we turn this on, it actually shows a fault code, C00, which means no fault code. This was confusing. The FI light was on meaning that there is a fault code, but that C00 indicates that there actually isn't a fault code. At this point, I did my research and came back the next day to find this. Overnight, I left this bit of white cardboard underneath and I can't see anything leaking. That is a very good sign. We are going to come back to this issue. I don't know if I explained yesterday, but having the underline and then C00 means that the throttle positioning is incorrect, but apparently the bike needs to be on and warm for that to read properly. When I jumped these cables beforehand, the bike didn't want to start. I'm going to plug it in with the bike already on. And the reason for that is because it's not showing me a code. C00 means no fault code, but the FI fault indicator light is on and it's not going away, which means there is a fault. So yeah, we're gonna give that a try and see if, with the bike running, if an indicator comes on. All right, the bike is running and I've just jumped those leads and now it's showing C46. All right, that's something we can deal with. Let's look that up. Okay, so a C46 code means exhaust control valve actuator. Now I actually know where this is on the bike. That just there is a exhaust valve actuator. Now I believe what it does is it closes or partly closes to help the engine heat up, and then when it's warm, opens up. So here is the valve. As you can see, you've got two cables going to it to pull it either way. There's meant to be a little bit of slack in those cables, but these ones are tight, and just here, it's actually bent. So I'm hoping because of that, maybe it's too tight or maybe the bend's causing it. We either need to order a new one of these or fix this one. But this is a best case scenario. And either way, we're gonna be able to fix it. If you didn't know, this whole channel's mission is to rebuild cars until we can afford a supercar. And if you'd like to watch along, all the mistakes I make and any wins, please hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.